Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into the wild and, often surprisingly violent story of how football became the world's favorite sport.
So, how did a game that was basically a chaotic street brawl turn into the most popular sport on the entire planet? Well, let's trace that surprising and honestly pretty brutal history. To really get football, we've got to go way, way back, like thousands of years back. Because it turns out that kicking a ball around isn't a modern thing at all. It seems to be this ancient, totally universal human instinct.
And I mean all over the world. We're talking ancient China, where a game called kuju, or kickball, was actually part of military training. But it's not just there. We find similar games everywhere, from Egypt and Greece to the Mayans over in the Americas. People have been doing this for a very, very long time.
And get this quote from the Roman politician Cicero. Yeah, it's a little grim, but it's also fascinating, right? It just goes to show you that these games were a real everyday part of life. And yeah, sometimes they were literally deadly.
The Romans, they were practical. They saw this game and thought, hey, this is a great way to keep our soldiers fit. So they baked it right into their military training. And as you can imagine, as the Roman Empire spread its wings across Europe, it took its games right along with it. But when the game got to England, whoa, it morphed into something way more chaotic, way more violent than anything the Romans ever played. We're not even talking about a sport at this point. This was pure public mayhem.
Just look at the difference here. For centuries, this game was basically a lawless street brawl. Forget 11 players on each side. Try entire villages going at it. You could use your hands, your feet, pretty much whatever you wanted. And as you'd expect, it often ended in riots, serious injuries, and sometimes even death. It got so out of hand, so chaotic, that the monarchy had to step in. King Edward III just banned the whole thing in 1365. He said it was a threat to public order. And that ban, it lasted for an incredible 350 years, 3.5 centuries with no football.
So, after 350 years, when the ban was finally lifted, things had to change. The game couldn't just go back to being a massive public riot. If it was going to survive, it needed to get, civilized.
And the transformation started in a pretty unexpected place, England's elite public schools, places like Eton and Harrow. The teachers there wanted to turn this chaotic folk game into a gentleman's sport, something to teach discipline and fair play. And this is where it all started to get refined, with real objectives and, for the first time ever, actual rules.
And this is where you can really see the birth of the modern game. First, that 350-year ban is lifted. Then, a huge moment. They prohibit using your hands. That's the big split, where rugby goes one way and football goes another. And finally, in 1863, the Football Association is born, creating one single, unified set of rules for everybody to play by.
Okay, so now we have rules. The game isn't just an English pastime anymore. It's packaged up and ready to go global.
And here's the first big step. The world's first ever international match. This was a huge deal. The game officially crossed borders, putting country versus country on the pitch for the first time. It really set the stage for all the international competition we see today.
But as more countries started playing, you can see the problem, right? You need someone to organize all of this, a single international group to govern it all. And that's exactly what happened in 1904, when FIFA was founded in Paris. And it started pretty small. I mean, look at this list. Just a handful of countries, mostly from Europe. But from these humble beginnings, a truly global institution was born, one that would shape the sport for the next 100 years and more.
And just look at the growth since then. From that small group of founders to 211 member associations today. That is absolutely astronomical. It just shows you how completely this game has taken over the entire planet.
Which brings us to today. Because now, football isn't just a sport. It's this massive global cultural phenomenon. It's an economic powerhouse, with billions of dollars flowing through it. And for so many people, it's a huge part of who they are, both personally and as a nation.
And at the center of it all, the World Cup, of course. It is the absolute pinnacle of the sport, the biggest prize in international football. It's an event that just grabs the entire world's attention in a way that almost nothing else can.
Seriously, the game's reach today is universal. You have the giant, super-rich leagues in Europe and South America, but then you have these exploding talent pools in Africa and Asia. It's become this shared language that inspires incredible national pride and brings billions of people together.
So what is it about this simple game? When you really break it down, from ancient military drills to chaotic medieval street fights, all the way to the polished global spectacle we see today, the story of football is really a story about us. It's about our fundamental need for community, our love of competition, and that simple, universal joy of play.